Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this wonderful planet. This is Harry Armytage, the learning difficulty expert, with the wonderful Sally.
Hiya, it's Sally, the Holistically Fit Specialist. Hey, Harry, how's your day going?
It's going well. It's going well, although it is winter now, and it's not my favourite season. So today we thought we'd talk about water, hydration, how much you drink, how much you should drink, and how you need to find out. And I know, Sally, this is a topic you're really keen about.
Well, I love my water. I chug-a-lug all day long, which also means I'm on the toilet all day long. But, it's better to flush everything out. I love it. Water's so refreshing. It's just nothing else hits the spot like good quality water as well.
So do you drink it out of the tap?
I have it filtered, yeah. But
Good.
I know, but, when I'm at one of the other gyms, it's not filtered, it's just out of the tap. And, I don't know, I've debated with this years ago. I think it was 1989. I first went backpacking and I went to America, and I was shocked that everyone was drinking bottled water. It hadn't happened here in Australia. And I thought, our water is so good. The quality of it is so fantastic. Why on earth do you have to bottle it up and then pay for water? I was totally shocked. 3 years later, when I came back to Australia, the same thing had happened here. Everything was bottled. So how did this evolve, Harry?
I think that the quality of the water between here and the US is very different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was doing a little bit of research before this chat, and the use of lead pipes in America is much more dominant.
Right.
That's neurotoxic.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's much more industry in the US, so there's much more potential for groundwater pollution.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have so much industry here. We've got much lower population density.
Mm.
But, chlorine's not a particularly nice thing to drink.
Oh.
Yes, it gets rid of the bugs in the water, but I don't like the taste. And so like you, I drink filtered water.
Mm. How about the water in Adelaide? Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is awful.
And I remember one of my boys said that in London, the water is recycled. When they lived there, the water's recycled 7.5 times.
Wow.
And the only thing they can't get out is the women's hormones.
Wow, is that right?
So as blokes, do we need all those women's hormones? Maybe not.
Yeah. Is that because a lot of them are fat soluble, or I don't know?
It's just hard to get them out.
Yeah.
And you won't get women's hormones out with a normal filter. You'll only get them out with reverse osmosis, which is quite expensive.
Yeah, right. And what are your thoughts on the I don't know, what do you call it? Resalination plants or
Desalination. I think they're probably the most expensive way you could make water. And I think what we've done up the East Coast is just nonsense, because the plants cost billions of dollars, and you could have managed consumption better with prices, I think. So what they've done is built in drought proofing using basically electricity, converting electricity to water.
Wow.
But once you build a plant, it's there, and you've got to pay for it in your water bills, which is what you're doing.
Yeah, yep.
But for me, it would have been a better solution to raise the price, manage demand down.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would have done it as an economist.
I know, this is all very technical. Now, I've got a few little stats here because I just happen to be writing a piece on
Oh, good. I'm looking forward to these stats. I shall get my pen out.
Well, the human body is made up of nearly 60% of water, which you would have known about anyway. And, it's becoming more sort of spoken about, like how we, with full moon, because we get affected by the full moon because of the water in our bodies and stuff. Now, our brain is about 75% of water. And in our blood, the blood...
Is that right? I'm surprised. I thought it was mostly fat.
Yeah, well, the whole hydration and dehydration, having a headache and a hangover, it's dehydration in the brain.
Yep.
When you think
Absolutely.
75% of it is water, that's huge. And our blood is 83% water in our blood. So imagine when we're not having enough water, we're not living optimally for our brain, our blood, and our whole everything in your body. Could you imagine sluggish, everything sort of like muddy rather than flowing freely? And it's when you start thinking like that, because your cells, your organs, your tissues all need that water to function optimally. And you know, functions of water in our body, it regulates our body temperature. It transports nutrients throughout the body, shifting it here and there in that sort of really fluid motion. So imagine slowing down when it's just sluggish because there's not enough water there. And of course, we need to remove waste products from our cells. So that's like drinking lots of water, flushing out the toxins, taking all the rubbish out and letting it go down the toilet, literally. So, yeah.
That's right. And so the symptoms of dehydration are, first of all, thirst. By the time you feel thirsty, it's actually a little bit too late.
Late, yep.
Headaches, fatigue, lethargy. Another big one is constipation.
Yep.
And the other one, which is really easy to monitor, is dark urine.
Yes, yeah. Dark, smelly ones.
Yeah. So it's interesting. You can overdrink water, though.
It places a lot of work on the kidneys. So, you know, there's a fine line. And when I was doing my research, you know, the average is about 2 litres per day, which is 8 glasses. But, you know, it doesn't take too much effect of if it's really hot weather or sporting or whatever. But I remember years ago studying naturopathy, they said, you know, because some train of thought was, you know, up to 8 litres a day. But then that was depleting the body of so many electrolytes as well as overworking the kidney. So, you know, I've always said to my clients, stick around 2 litres because the general research suggests that. And but also listen to the science and know your body. Because I know, you know, when you're parched, I need to drink more water. And also as we age, we it's like overnight, you have a dry mouth in the morning. You need to keep hydrated. It's aging affects your hydration as well.
And old people get poorer signals about dehydration.
Yeah, right.
So they're more likely to be dehydrated. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but there doesn't appear to be any gold standard for hydration. You know, because we're so bio-individual. I remember when we lived in the tropics and we used to see tourists walking around the block with their water bottles and we would just laugh at them. We thought it was so funny. So you can acclimatise. And if you're not acclimatized in a hot place, then yes, you need to drink more water. So the body, the need for your body and my body may be quite different. But another one of the simple tests, you know, is to do the pinch test.
Oh, yeah, the pinch test.
If you pinch your skin, how quick does it recover? Now, it should recover really quickly.
Yeah, mine bounces back, but I'm a water fan.
Yeah.
And
if you've got pale straw-coloured urine or lighter, then consistently, then that's good. But there are 2 ways water can go through the body. One is the lazy way, which is in the mouth and out the toilet.
Yep.
And the other way is through all the cells. So it's interesting. I mean, you can obviously do more intensive tests about how hydrated you are, you know, at the cell level.
Yeah, interesting. Well, you lose water when you're breathing, when you're sweating, and, you know, digestion takes up a lot of it too. So,
And depending on what foods you eat, there's a lot of embodied water in the food.
Yes, absolutely. You know, with salt retaining water and that sort of thing. And then you have diuretics. So like the diet soft drinks, alcohol, you know, dehydrate the body as well.
So tea and coffee is a diuretic, but the evidence is that if you drink it regularly, in moderation, it won't affect much your elimination of water. So if you drink a couple of cups of tea or coffee a day, you can count that water as part of your your water intake. But
Yeah.
if you don't drink tea or coffee, then you can't. And you have the occasional cup. It'll be a diuretic.
Mm. I know through the bodybuilding world, and when we're getting up to comp time, it's slim as tea, and they're just trying to strip, and all the diuretics and celery and whatever else is just like getting every ounce of water out of the body. I think it's quite unhealthy to do that.
Doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah, no, they look good. Well, if you're into that look, but yeah, it's really squeezing as much water out of the body to see all the muscle definition. I must.
And you can get.
One day.
Yeah, I did the whole subculture that I haven't, had experience of, I have to say.
I'll take you under my wing, darling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's also another family of devices. They're weighing devices. They're smart weighing devices, mostly Japanese or Korean.
Yep.
Takata is one of the brands. And it measures the impedance between your feet. You stand on them in bare feet.
Yep.
And they produce estimates of the percentage of muscle and water, fat and bone.
Yep.
So they can be a pretty useful thing to monitor how you're going.
Look, just with my kids alone, I say to them, look at your wee and smell it.
It's
straightforward, other than if they've had asparagus. Although, anyway, I won't go down that line. But I mean, it really is. Often, because I've got boys and they don't flush the toilet, I go, "Who was in here last? Drink some more water, would you?" Because it really is.
Yeah.
Smelly, and.
But of course, if you take some supplements like C or multivitamin, that will colour your urine, so that kind of becomes less useful.
Yes, absolutely. Good point, Harry. Good point. So I was like looking at little ways of ensuring that you have adequate water intake every day. Just little user-friendly tips. Where did I write them down? Accessible. Make sure that it's accessible. Carry water around with you, like you were saying, the tourists in the tropics. But I have like some in the car. I always have some in my bag. I just have it with me so that it's easy. I always have it at work and on my desk.
And how do you have it in the car? What's the container?
Well, like this morning, I just had it in the glass, right?
Yeah.
See, the container is important too because of the whole BPA thing, and
So to elaborate on that, the single-use plastic bottles which you buy water in are not designed for multiple use, and the reason is because the plastic migrates into the water if the car's hot.
Yep.
So I see quite a lot of mums who are reusing these plastic bottles, and they're hormone disruptors.
Exactly. Now, what are your thoughts on like these swirl bottles? Because I use this and my kids use these, and these keep them hot or cold, so they're quite good for in the car. But
I'm not familiar with them. What are they made of?
I think they're aluminium, but there's no plastic, and everyone has.
Looks like stainless to me.
Yes. Stainless. What did I say? Yeah, it is stainless steel.
You said aluminium.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'd say stainless steel. Is stainless steel safe?
Yeah, I think the safest is glass, followed by stainless.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of plastic drink bottles of any sort.
Look, I use them for convenience, but it does concern me about the car factor or having it in in heat.
I wouldn't be using plastic containers in a car because of the heat.
Yeah, stick to this.
Definitely. So, I actually looked up some stats.
Oh, did you? Yeah, bring it on.
You're the stats queen, but I did look up some. There's a study that showed that 75% of Americans are dehydrated. There was a woman here called Sarah Mackay, who reckons in Australia it's 80%.
I knew it was high. I had no idea that high. I think most people are underhydrated, and that's one of my big things with my clients. It starts with the water. But I didn't realise 80%, that's giving me goosebumps because that's 4 out of 5 people, Harry.
That's right. So I'd like to talk a little bit about, you've talked about the bottles and where you need to have them, but I think it's important to think about filtered water.
Yep.
The water in Melbourne when I was a kid was beautiful. It was sweet, but it's not like that anymore. So I always use filtered water. I think it's important. Chlorine's not a very nice product to
No.
ingest.
Yep.
Um,
And then fluoride.
so you get what you pay for in a filter.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But one thing, when you do have a filter, remember to change it, because that
Exactly.
is another thing I've gotten into trouble with in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a system that tells us when it needs to be replaced.
Yeah, my
Which
new
is
one
a-
does. Yeah.
yeah. So my suggestions are to begin the day with a glass of water,
Yes.
which is a Japanese habit.
Yep.
So begin the day with a glass.
Mm-hmm.
Get into the bottle habit. So carry a bottle around with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one is bypass the desire for soft or sugary drinks,
Mm-hmm.
because they are really not good for you.
Yes.
They leach calcium from your bones, or they set you up for diabetes.
Oh, totally. I mean, soft drink is, maybe next week we could talk about soft drink, because I've got so much information on how.
Okay, sounds good.
But
So hydrate for happy health.
yeah. Ooh, I like that. Hydrate for happy health. That's a good one. Good tagline. Yep.
Good clean water is like the elixir of life, I think.
It's true. Nothing more satisfying than a beautiful, cold, or not even cold, but just beautiful, fresh, clean water. It's the best. You can taste the difference.
So my kids always pestered us to get a fridge with a cold water dispenser
Yep.
in the door. And I always refused, because it is much easier for the body to drink room temperature water.
Yeah, tepid water should be absorbed better.
So don't buy a fridge with a cold water dispenser.
Or if you do, let it go warm before you drink it. Which defeats
Well,
but
yeah.
if it's on a filter, then it's filtered water. They can have it on their desk and just sip at it, drink or whatever.
That's right. Yep. And how much? I mean, we are bio-individuals, so I encourage people to use some of the monitor measures that we've discussed.
But having said that, in Australia, 80% and 75% in the States, odds are you're not drinking enough water. So
Odds are, yeah.
Increase what you're having already. And I had a few tips here, and one of them was buy a 1 litre glass bottle, and then to refill it at least once a day, and that you've gone through your 2 litres, because I know a lot of my clients, they go, I can't remember how much I've had. I can't remember if I've filled up this water bottle 2 or 3 times. But if you get a 1 litre one, it's really handy to go, all right, I've got to drink 2 of these today. What else did I have? I just have water constantly around you. So have a glass of water with your meals and snacks. It's an easy way to keep up your intake. And also, if your weight is a bit of an issue, it helps keep you full. So if you're drinking before a meal, half an hour before.
I think, half an hour before a meal or after is better than with a meal, because you don't want to dilute the HCl.
That's right, half an hour before. But it does help curb hunger as well. So it's a double win.
Yeah.
And it leaves your face looking hydrated and beautiful. You look younger.
That's right.
You don't
As I do, Yeah, beautiful skin.
Stunning. Yeah, I like it's one of my favourite things in the whole entire world is water. So
Yeah. And as you do, we see people that look really much older than their age. It's a shock sometimes. I see people who I think, are in their 80s and they're in their 50s.
Yep.
They look older than me.
And you can pick dehydration miles away. And ripped up hands and that sort of thing. Yeah, big time. I think this is a really good topic. I'd love to do soft drinks next week, if that suits.
Okay, good job.
That takes it one step further. But just keep drinking water. Add it to it.
And it's a really important habit to get your kids into.
Absolutely. I mean, we just threw a few stats around there, but your brain needs it, your body needs it, your whole system needs it to function optimally. And when it doesn't, you're just living not at par. So
kids have a higher percentage of water in their body than adults.
Yeah, right.
Even more of a reason for kids to get into the good habit.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for buying soft drink as part of your daily shop.
Oh, I know.
It's nonsense.
No, I can't actually wait for next week's one, Tom. Harry, that's awesome. Should we wind it up there? And
yeah, sounds good.
yeah, well, thank you for joining us. Love to hear any feedback, comments, whatever. Like and share. Do all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And see you next week.
Okay, see you, Sal.
See you later.
Bye.